Dear Wolfgang, thank you for hosting all of us. It's always a great pleasure to be here at the Munich Security Conference, but especially this year, because these are really pivotal times. We face the greatest security challenges for a generation, so I think it's even more important that we meet and discuss and address these challenges together. For almost 70 years, the partnership between Europe and North America has ensured peace, freedom, and prosperity. It enabled us to successfully deter the Soviet Union and bring the Cold War to an end. And this partnership also enabled the integration of Europe. European leaders have always understood that going it alone is not an option. And after two world wars started in Europe, American leaders know that they have a profound strategic interest in a stable and secure Europe. The only time we have invoked our collective defense clause, the Article 5, was after an attack on the United States, the terrorist attacks 9/11/2001. And this was more than just a gesture. Hundreds of thousands of European and Canadian soldiers have served in Afghanistan in the last 16 years. Around 1,000 have paid the ultimate price. This bond between Europe and North America, embodied in the NATO alliance, remains essential for both. Europe needs North America, and North America needs Europe. Together we are responding to a changing security environment. NATO has implemented the biggest reinforcement of our collective defense since the end of the Cold War. Our response is defensive, and it is measured and proportionate. We do not seek to provoke conflict, but to prevent conflict and preserve peace. To keep our people safe, NATO is also projecting stability beyond our borders. Responding to turmoil on NATO's borders in the Middle East and North Africa, the alliance is helping to train security forces in partner countries like Jordan and Tunisia. Because when our neighbors are more stable, we are more secure. We have led the international engagement in Afghanistan for more than a decade, and we continue to train Afghan forces to keep their country secure and deny safe haven to international terrorists. Every NATO ally is part of the US-led coalition against ISIL. Our AWACS surveillance aircraft support coalition air operations, and NATO has just started and launched a training and capacity building program in Iraq. But the alliance can and should do more. Training local forces is our best tool to fight terrorism. NATO has decades of experience in this area, tried and tested structures, the ability to coordinate efforts by many nations, and over 40 partners willing to help. All of this gives the alliance unique staying power. And that is key, because stabilizing our neighborhood and fighting terrorism is not a one-off event, but a generational effort. The ability of our alliance to fulfill all its tasks depends on all allies contributing their fair share. Europeans cannot ask the United States to commit to Europe's defense if they are not willing to commit more themselves. In 2014, allies sat around the same table, looked each other looked each other in the eye and agreed to invest more in defense. And we all heard Chancellor Merkel and Vice President Pence stressing this morning the importance of increased defense spending and fairer burden sharing. This is good for Europe and it's good for NATO. I applaud Chancellor Merkel's commitment to increased German defense spending. It is a vital contribution to European freedom, peace and security. Fairer burden sharing has been my top priority since taking office. In 2016, after many years of cuts, defense spending increased across Europe and Canada by 3.8% in real terms, or $10 billion. That is a significant step in the right direction, but it is not enough. The alliance still has a long way to go. All allies must speed up their efforts to meet the target of spending 2% of GDP on defense. Burden sharing is not just about spending. It is also about the skilled troops and high-end capabilities for NATO operations, and the political will to come to each other's defense. NATO's new enhanced forward presence is an example of burden sharing. 4 battle groups involving 15 European allies are deploying to the Baltic states and Poland, sending a clear signal of solidarity. A strong European defense also contributes to fairer burden sharing. And the High Representative Vice President Federica Mogherini and I, we work very closely on how we can make sure that stronger European defense complement what NATO does, do not compete. And the cooperation is excellent. We are really moving forward together. So as long as NATO and the European Union complement, not compete with each other, this is something I really welcome. Because a strong Europe cannot mean Europe alone. Just as I don't believe America first means America alone. That is the core of our transatlantic bond. NATO is strong because we stand together. We are an alliance of 28 democracies. Debate is part of our DNA. And we have our differences. But that is nothing to fear. Open debate is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. What matters is that political leaders on both sides of the Atlantic and across the political spectrum have always agreed on our core mission: to defend each other, to preserve our freedom and protect our values. So, ladies and gentlemen, NATO's founding Washington Treaty committed allies to unite their efforts for the preservation of peace and security. Those words were written by a generation who have lived through the horrors of World War I and then World War II, who believed that history was not predetermined and that they could build a peaceful international order, founded on strong multilateral institutions. NATO's history is one of common challenges overcome together. But the question is, can we match the ambition, the ideals, and the achievements of those who crafted our institutions all those years ago? The post-war generation rose to their challenge. Now we must rise to ours. Thank you.